everybody that comes to me thinks that in some way they have a disability because of X, Y, and Z. They're short, they're bald, they're fat, they're thin, they're too tall, um, they are unemployed, they live with their parents, they are blind, they can't hear, they're bad dressers, they're not social, they fall into the friend zone all the time. These are all things that people see as a disability for them getting what they want. So working with somebody that is blind, um, or any of the other things that I listed, it's really about owning that quality in yourself, or that disability, or however you want to label it. It's owning that attribute of yours and understanding that it's not going to be for some people. Some people are just not going to be attracted to it. I'm not going to be attracted to some blondes. I don't know why. I'm just not going to. But there might be a blonde that I interact with who I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I do like blondes. So it has no bearing on you. But with something like being blind, it's really about just explaining to the people that you go on dates with about who you are. And so telling people about why you're blind, how you're blind, what it means for you, and what you've learned to do because of being blind. Like, that's really impressive for people to hear as well, is that, okay, I might be blind, but I can do everything. It's breaking down these beliefs that other people may have about you by opening up your mouth and sharing a little bit more. That's the only thing that I can advise for anybody who has something that they view as a disability. Number one, don't view it as a disability and own it and be proud of it. And number two, expand and share about it so that this label that's out there doesn't seem so overwhelming to the other individual that you're trying to date. And also understanding that some people, it's just not going to be for some people, where they're like, I do not want to be with a blind person, right? Other people are going to say, I do not want to be with a person who wears a toupee. I do not want to be with a person who doesn't make $500,000 a year. Like, there are certain things that you can't control that people have boundaries and rules in place for, of things that they want. They may not understand why they want or don't want it, but it's something that has nothing to do with you and something you can't battle against. So you don't focus your time and energy on those people. You focus your time and energy elsewhere.
I love your post because it is true. I am visually impaired. I'm a almost 44-year-old woman who happens to be visually impaired. Now, if I was single, you were right. Some people might say no. I mean, they might not come out and say, gosh, I don't want to be with you because you're visually impaired or you're blind. But I do think we have to come to, I mean, we can sit there and say, oh, I'm not going to get any dates because I'm blind. You know, that's just silly. I mean, it's not true. I mean, I certainly can't help that I'm visually impaired. I mean, that's nothing I can. Well, just like someone can't help if they're blonde hair, use that as an example, or if they're short, or if they're, so I do think everyone has a disability. I like putting that, because you can have sighted people who are, maybe deathly afraid of crowds, or you can deathly afraid of, maybe someone has bad teeth, or, and I don't know if you're visually impaired yourself, it doesn't matter, but you do have to embrace. And I think that people, I have dated someone who's sighted before, and been attracted. I mean, I just have been around sighted people, and I think if you say, hey, look, I am visually impaired, but carry yourself as if you're human first, if you will, I think that's a good thing. And no, don't take it personally when you're not, maybe they don't like you because you're blind. That's just the way it is. Someone else will.
No one is perfect. Only God we all are human beings and are flawed. We are not perfect in no way, shape, or form. Everybody is their own person. Basically, I mean, everyone is their own person, and they choose to be attracted or like who they choose to. Now, the people have to stop being, how can I say, self-conscious. Gotta try their best to succeed and move forward in life, and in, interest about things. That's all it's about, man. You gotta move forward. You can't dwell on what's wrong, what's going on in your life and everything. You gotta try and move forward. Unless you want to stay in a box and not go nowhere and not experience anything and not live your life and stay miserable and be, kind of pathetic and shit. Which is unfortunate because many people do that. And they shouldn't. Live life, love life. That's what I say.
Okay, first of all, I agree with your sentiment about, you really have to own who it is that you are. That's a given, whatever your disability, or if you want to see it as a disability, whatever sets you apart, I guess. But I would say that for a lot of situations, having a physical disability, like, I don't mean necessarily being, you reference being too fat or whatever. I kind of see it differently when you're blind, or if you're deaf, or if you're in a wheelchair. Not because it's not, these people aren't worth your time, so screw them anyway, or, well, I guess don't in this case if you're not even going to get a date. But it's a little lonely, I don't have this as an issue myself, no, but and I've told this story a couple times on the system, but I guess in this context it's probably worth repeating. So a while back, I was doing some research with a college in New York when I was living up there, and it had to do with dating websites and accessibility. Not dating websites for people with disabilities, none of that stuff. I mean, we're talking Match.com, Cupid, that sort of thing. And I created a profile, and they gave me, there was funding available to pay for a month of, premium membership or whatever it was. It was Match.com was the one that I ended up using. And I put a picture of me on the on my profile. The picture was of me standing in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains out in Colorado. There was no cane in the picture. There was no assistive technology. I even took my hearing aids out for it. Yeah, I wear hearing aids too. Put that up there, I wasn't like dressed really nice or anything, just kind of casual dress. I was out hiking and, somebody took the picture. And I had it. So I put it up there, and I was talking to a lot of different people, a lot of different, possibilities. And I figured, well, what the heck? I'll see what happens. They were just wanting me to test the usability from a blind user's perspective. But I'm like, all right, well, let's go a little further with this. I had another picture that was in a similar setting, sort of. Similar in that it was outside and that it was an outdoorsy picture, but I was in Central Park. I had my cane, I had my hearing aids in, and I had my braille display on. I put that picture up there, and within 24 hours of my posting that picture, I think it was 7 different conversations that I was having with different women on the site all quit talking to me. And you could say, yeah, well, they're not worth your time, blah blah blah, and that's, I guess, true. And you have to own that. And in the long run, I mean, I'm glad that they didn't find out later and just like I met them and then they found out. That would have been even more awkward. But I guess my point is that, yeah, while you do have to own it, it's a bit more challenging for someone with a physical disability than, say, somebody who just might be a little overweight, or somebody who has they're socially awkward, for example. I think most people are socially awkward to a certain extent, and if you live in America, let's face it, you probably could stand to lose a little weight, and I'm pointing a finger at myself when I say that. But anyway, that's my perspective on it. Good post, though.
I think a lot of people have actually got this wrong, to be honest, and quite confused. If you look at the social model of disability is not an issue for the person. It's not about being blind or being anything. It's a social issue. It's the social barriers. So if you're a blind person, your disability is that you can't, like, if people give you a book and expect you to read it, that's when it becomes a disability. If you use a wheelchair and people expect you to go somewhere and you have to go up a big flight of stairs, that's where you have a disability. And it's the same, like if you're deaf and someone doesn't, if you read sign language, if you use sign language and someone expects you to speak without a sign language interpreter or whatever, then again, that's when it becomes a disability. And when it comes to dating, to me, if the person you're dating makes you feel like there are barriers in place, then you will feel like you have a disability. Obviously, it is only relevant to people with impairments. Having a disability it can be if you're too short. If you are too short, and it becomes like if you're very short, I don't know if you work in feet, but I think it's something like if you have 4'10", it used to be a condition called dwarfism. But if you're just shorter than average, that isn't a disability. It's not an impairment. It doesn't affect, your life every day, in the same way as it would, like, if it was an actual, like, condition or an impairment. So to me, if I was dating someone and they did create those social barriers for me. So, for example, if I had to get to somewhere that I'd never been to before and they didn't offer to, like, meet me at the train station to help me to get there, or they made a big deal of reading out the menus if I were going to a restaurant to eat, if they, like, made a big deal out of reading the menus to me, things like that, then yeah, I would feel like I had a disability and I would feel different. Obviously, if it was another blind person, it'd be slightly different because we would both be disabled people, and the barriers that we had, like, then it would be about whether the staff where we were going made us feel that we had a disability or put barriers in our way.
This seems more like a statement to me than a question. I couldn't really find the actual question anywhere in there. Maybe I just missed it. But I have a couple of thoughts as a follow-up, though. I know we can play a lot with the semantics and, which words we choose to use. I don't know if disability is really the best word for all the possible issues that you rhymed off, including not making a certain salary or wearing a toupee or being a certain height or being a certain weight, compared with having vision issues or hearing issues, etc. Obviously, we all know that everyone is going to have preferences, and no one is going to be all things for someone. I mean, it's, you're not going to be the perfect height, the perfect body type, the perfect everything. But I think certain things are a little more along the lines of what we traditionally tend to think of as a limitation or an impairment or a disability or whatever word that you want to use. And I think, if I may say so, what you're saying, what you're suggesting is reasonable, but I think it's a little simplistic, and maybe I'll even go as far as to say naive, just in the sense that, yes, if you get to the point where, as a blind person, you are having a date with someone, you can show them that you're capable, you're not dependent, you're you know articulate, intelligent, kind, caring, etc., etc. But it's getting to the point of having that date in the first place. It's putting right in your profile, if you're doing it online, that you're blind, and you're going to have 80, 90, 95% of the people probably pass you by and not even give you a chance right from the word go. So you don't even have the opportunity to show them that you don't have this crushing amount of limitations and restrictions the way that many people think that you do. Even getting to the point of talking on the phone and being able to explain yourself and give examples and etc. I just find that, at least in my experience, even getting to that point is exceedingly difficult, because people, at least again online, make this sort of prejudging and pre-screening, and they whittle out people, they weed out people right off the bat before even giving a chance. So what you're saying about explain this and tell them this and show them this, that's all wonderful, but you've got to be able to get the person's attention in the first place to be able to do that. And I propose that that's a lot easier said than done.